the pot of thunder. Get ready for the rockin' show. This is the pot of thunder. Whoa, with Chris Elnick and Andy Jones.
Oh, how about that?
Wow.
Welcome to Pot of Thunder, the recognized symbol of excellence in rock and roll podcasting. Brought to you by Blue Microphones. They look great and they sound even better. Ooh, that sounds good.
They feel good, too. I'm touching mine.
So is Chris.
It's true. How do they feel?
Feels perfect in the hand.
Okay.
Nice.
Just like all three of us.
That's worth two in the bush, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so thank you to Jamie Leach or Lech. I'm sorry for the new intro. Guys, you know you made it when a 16-year-old on the other side of the planet makes the theme song for your podcast.
See, I'm touching it too much.
Careful.
Where exactly on the planet is he?
I believe he's a UK fella.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
I actually didn't know we had any UK listeners. I mean, we had a couple, but...
Yeah. I thought it was all Australia.
Yeah, we're mostly...
I didn't think they liked the same things. So.
Well, since he's a fan of ours, the pronunciation Lech is probably accurate.
Not Leach.
No,
okay.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I hadn't heard that until now. Andy sprung that on us.
Mm-hmm. Came in a couple days ago. So
Yeah, I love it.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
You
Jamie.
put more work into that than we have in 6 years.
So anyway, here we are. It's your buddy Andy. It's Gnarly Nick the Garlic Dragon. It's Chris L. We're all here. We don't need any intros today. We got business to get
We're
to.
angry.
Oh, God. We have business to attend to. Chris is angry. Nick is angry. Guys, what's going on over there?
I wouldn't. I mean, it's.
Steam coming out the ears.
I don't want the anger to override what we're convening here to do today. In light of recent events, we are going to go off script and do a song that is a collective pick of ours. I don't think it's on the submission
It's not.
list.
I checked.
Okay. So we're independent song pick today, authorized by all three of us, which is, I believe, is an unprecedented move.
Not since Fred Bear, I think.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, this is we're coming at this one with different intentions, and again, was driven by recent events. As the day of this recording, the event took place yesterday, so without further ado, let's just bring in Mr. Jericho and get to it.
Let's do it.
All right, Hamel. This one's called
I Want to Go Back,
Off of
Spaceman,
by the band.
Ace Frehley.
It feels good to have a Kiss related song again.
Yes, people have been clamoring for it, and here it is. And unfortunately, the impetus for this is, of course, the passing of Eddie Money at age 70 yesterday. Now, I know he had the esophageal cancer, but they're saying that the death was actually caused by complications from a heart valve surgery.
Oh, really?
So I don't know which one, but he had a lot going on, and if that didn't take him, the cancer would have.
Well, he was
soon enough.
stage 4,
Yeah.
like a few weeks ago already. So
this, of course, is a cover of one of his big hits by Ace Frehley off this still his most recent solo album, I believe.
yeah,
So here we go. It was a perfect opportunity to cover both of these guys who we hold with great reverence. I believe that's a common thread among the three of us. Certainly Ace, obviously.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Eddie Money? I don't think we've ever really discussed that amongst ourselves.
and the first thing is we talked a couple weeks ago. We brought up Huey Lewis, how Huey Lewis could basically talk a song and it sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Eddie Money is blessed with that kind of voice also.
Same deal.
Yeah, where he sounded fantastic. I mean, I don't know. I haven't listened to all his live recordings. Maybe he had ups and downs with it, but as far as the studio stuff that I've heard, it's just an incredible voice all the time.
Unique voice. Too.
Unique voice.
Not like he's just was always him. You know, he wasn't trying to be somebody else or trying to. You could tell he wasn't woodshedding with a vocal coach at any point. You know, he just did his thing, and it was really the songs that catapulted his career. So
I think I'm mostly familiar with his 80s stuff.
I think a lot of people are. I mean, "Take Me Home Tonight" has become his signature too.
That's the first one I remember hearing on the radio when I was a kid.
And this might be an odd comparison, but it's almost like Van Halen, who got started in the 70s, but most people regard them as an 80s band. It's somewhat similar because, you know, his first album came out in 77, I believe, and had the two of his initial big hits. And then his other big album, No Control, was 81, I think. So most of his memorable stuff occurred in the 80s.
I would say, as far as, because we're talking about vocals, incredible vocal, like there's a particular track, it's I Think I'm in Love.
Yep.
Where when the vocal kicks in, it's like, it's one of my favorite vocal sounds, whatever, however you want to, vocal performances, whatever, production, because I'm pretty sure it's doubled, even though his voice by itself to me always sounded like it could have been doubled.
Just one of those
like he
voices.
had some kind of Mongolian throat thing going on where there was like he's one of those guys in my opinion where it always sounded like it's like that voice. And then I didn't realize until this maybe a year or two ago, we were talking about him. I think it was when his reality show started.
Right.
And Chris mentioned that he played saxophone, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. And that comes into play, even though it doesn't in this song, because I would imagine that's Eddie Money doing the saxophone intro.
You would think. The other thing about his best known 80s hits is that the trio of this one, Take Me Home Tonight and Walk on Water, were not written by him. They were outside songwriters that, you know, he sang them obviously, and they were released under his name, but unlike most of his earlier stuff, he did not have any songwriting credit on there.
Was Eddie Money a New York guy? Long Island guy, maybe?
New York guy for sure.
Okay.
I believe he was a cop in the late 60s.
Really?
And then quit the force to get into entertainment.
His real last name was Mahoney, which
Right.
I love because you just dropped 2 letters and you got money. That's pretty awesome.
Well, that's a brilliant adjustment to the name. One of the great rock names of all time.
It really
bother.
is.
It's an awesome name, but I didn't realize his real name was Mahoney.
Yeah.
That makes it even better.
Yeah.
And a New York cop named Mahoney. How perfect is that?
Yeah.
That's such a stereotype,
Right.
you know? The Irish cop.
But then as we bring Ace into the equation, you know, I think I don't think there's been an album he's done within the past 3 or 4 that hasn't had a cover or 2 on it, correct?
He always has a cover, basically. Well, almost always. Let's see. He dipped his toe into the whole Wiped Out thing just for a few seconds. The whole Wipeout drum thing. Not a cover, obviously, but he didn't have any covers on his first 2 Frehley's Comet albums. But then since then,
Yeah.
There's always something.
and it's funny because how long was it? Trouble Walkin' had a cover. It had Do You Do Ya?
Right.
And then what?
Fox on the Run is on there somewhere.
Fox
one
on
of
the Run is
albums.
one of the recent ones,
And then of course the Joker
yeah.
cover, which is, you know, I mean,
then
I don't know what to say about that.
the covers album.
True,
Plenty,
yeah,
of,
that's
plenty of
obvious.
covers.
This one, though, for me, is on another level for a multitude of reasons that we'll talk about as we get into the song. But,
Okay.
you know, dictated by events, we're going to do an analysis of this song, which we posted it on our Facebook and Twitter accounts the other day, so kind of tipped our hat a little bit. But I think this will make for a good episode here. So,
and I wanted to point out, just in looking through, because Eddie Money passed away, and then I kind of did a little, reading up and looking into stuff, and came across the Playing for Keeps album cover, and on which I believe he looks almost exactly like Malcolm Young.
Let's see this here.
That's, I think.
I didn't realize what a young Eddie Money looked like. I'm just so used to probably 90s and 2000s looking Eddie Money for some reason. I hadn't seen.
Oh, when he first came out?
Yeah.
For some reason, a guy who I think of when I think of like 70s Eddie Money, I think of Robert Palmer also. Because he had some stuff in the 70s that I'm sure there was some success, but then he had the huge 80s stuff, and his image was a little different at that point. But they kind of had the same image where they had, you think of them with like a suit or something with the tie undone, like after party kind of guys.
Yeah, the American and British sides of that coin. I had to look this up to make sure I had it right, but the cover, the Playing for Keeps cover, he looks on that to me like another Malcolm McDowell, who played the lead character in Clockwork Orange.
That's pretty good too, yeah.
So, pretty cool looking cover. Great title too. But
he's Eddie Money, one of those front men that really there aren't very many of.
Yeah,
coming out these days of that style.
Shot over a text to Jericho on the day of his passing, which Money's passing, not Jericho's. And I misspoke earlier. It actually happened 2 days before we're recording this, but Jericho made a good point. He's like, I would put Eddie Money's top 8 or 10 songs up against anybody's top 8 or 10 songs, and I would be surprised if anybody other than a Rolling Stone writer could dispute that. It's something else we can talk about a little bit, is the tribute article disguised as a hit piece or vice versa that they put out on their website yesterday.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
I didn't know about it until right before we were recording, and Chris showed me a little bit, and it's pretty outrageous.
They just can't resist. They can't help themselves.
How much more snobby and unlikable can the people at Rolling Stone present themselves these days?
I don't even
with the
understand.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame stuff and. It is a hit piece. The guy just died, and they're lobbing insults.
The whole
at him.
thing is sprinkled with stuff like this. Is how they describe him in one section. Throughout pretty much his entire career, he was rock's endearing every palooka, a clumsy, somewhat overwrought guy who was one of rock's most relatable acts.
So it's like he's relatable to the common man, but we don't like the common man.
Exactly.
We can't. We're not the common man, so we really don't know what the appeal is.
And it's like we're obligated to cover this because if we were to ignore it, there might be some other backlash. But we have to get our shots in with this type of music, and the people who like this type of music is basically what we're seeing there.
And if I can connect a couple of dots with that, they didn't cover Eric Carr's passing.
Well, no,
and Ace Frehley didn't come out with an album for so long there that. What was the first? It was Anomaly.
Yeah.
What was that? 07? Oh, 09?
Yeah.
It had been so long. That was 09 was the first album where Ace Frehley got to officially acknowledge and pay tribute to Eric Carr's passing.
Oh, jeez.
Because he dedicated it to him and Dimebag Darrell on the back of the album.
I forgot about that.
It had been that long.
Wow.
Now, to be fair with the Eric Carr thing, he did die the same day as Freddie Mercury.
True, but
that's going to push you. lower, if not completely off of the day's news cycle. And that was, 91? So pre-internet days where you just spilled everything out there. I mean, they could have acknowledged it in a later issue.
That's what they could have done the next issue, and they could have even made a whole gimmick of, he was overshadowed, but he had, made these contributions and played for millions of people. They could have circled back.
Believe me, I'm not defending them. I'm just saying that the Freddie Mercury thing factored into it, but also, make no mistake about it, they despised that type of music, and probably also Kiss at that time, and probably still do, but
And always did.
out of obligation, they let them into their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But make no mistake, Eric Carr was essentially the equivalent of the drummer from Warrant. That guy passes away, they don't care. So that's really the at the root of that. So, but let's get into it, and we can discuss this article a little more. But more importantly, the song itself and the performance, I think, are more worthy of discussion.
So 2018, the most recent song we've ever covered.
Really?
How weird, yeah.
Right? I mean,
For sure.
it's got to be.
I don't even know what it would be before, like maybe something from Monster.
Yeah, but
Probably.
what was the "Don't Touch My Ascot" was
Yeah.
more recent than that,
Sure.
or the whatever that Japanese pop collaboration they did.
This was just last year. This not even a year ago. This came out. So.
Never let it be said that we're not a contemporary with the times.
Yeah, with the
podcast.
Times covering a song.
I mean, we're basically three Walter Cronkites today. So
breaking out of our classic rock cocoon here.
Yeah, our cocoon, and getting into an Ace Frehley performance of an Eddie Money cover.
Right, yeah, exactly.
it was either that or some really cool dubstep thing that we were
okay.
looking at. But
Is that still happening? I'm out of the loop.
I don't even know what dubstep
I don't
is.
either. Dumb. I don't care to know.
No,
I've given up on.
Exactly.
It's finally happened. I've given up on young people.
Although,
long time ago.
a 16-year-old bloke did our theme song.
That's true.
So we're pretty cool all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's just it's never ending.
A little extra pep in my step today.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't even care if it's raining out there.
No, we're cool with the kids, guys.
It was
About
bound.
to
It was bound
get
to,
even cooler.
bound to happen.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. I'm ready. Fuck this. Unbelievable.
You want to start it again and edit it, or
That was funny.
yes, you
Let's
have
just
to.
leave all
No.
this.
Let's just leave it.
yeah,
Who
let's
cares?
leave it.
No one cares.
Exactly. You know what?
It's funny.
We're the Eddie Moneys of podcasting, warts and all, clumsy
Clumsy
overwrought palookas, putting out entertainment that people seem to enjoy. Imagine that. Imagine that. Can you believe it?
Yep.
I know it's speaking of clumsy. We stopped the guitar solo a little bit, but wanted to just point out that the very sexy saxophone intro happened here for those who don't know
On the original.
And when I had read last year the track listing for this, I was like, oh wow, Eddie Money cover, and it is a song that I like of his quite a bit. I'll admit I know mostly just the hits in the Eddie Money catalog, but when I saw this, immediately I thought, okay, how is he going to do it? Because Ace doesn't. I mean, we did mention the Joker, and I think I can speak for all three of us. We don't care for that cover version. But when I saw this, I thought, well, Ace, like, he really doesn't put out bad solo stuff. Like, he really. If you go back through his catalog,
with that, but
I mean, well, there might be a few songs here and there, but Ace has not put out a bad solo album. Like I don't think anybody can honestly say that. You could say I hate this song, I hate whatever.
Well, Well,
but I don't think so.
But see, that's when you get the people who are just like, there's too much filler on here and all this stuff. So you're opening that can of worms. But you're probably more correct than the detractors. I would say. I
think that Spaceman is a good album. I think Anomaly and Space Invader are much better. Mm-hmm. But that's not to say that this isn't a good album. And I just, in my head, I'm like, how is he going to do this Eddie Money song? And first thing I thought was, well, he's probably going to just do a guitar solo instead of the sax in the beginning, and then we'll go from there, I guess.
Which is
what he does.
I'm just going to tip my hand immediately. Not that anybody couldn't pick on me already, but this song made an immediate impact on me. This version and the original song as well, and for the reason being this opening guitar solo is fucking great. And also, I love how he's playing it in a major key, sort of to give you that kind of upbeat vibe going into it. Almost like, I don't know, when I'm playing guitar and I go into a major key, I feel like I'm being instantly transported into Allman Brothers land, because they played a lot of like major Mixolydian stuff. But whenever it goes into a major key, I think of like Allman Brothers Southern rock type stuff, and this is giving me a little bit of that vibe. And just the tone is great, the note choices are fantastic. It just really grabbed me immediately.
And on the major key tip, I think it's interesting because the original, and we'll get into the lyrical content, there's a melancholy there in this song, but Ace right away is like, goes into the major key. There's an uplifting kind of
that's a good point. I didn't even think of that, but yes, the lyrics are very like melancholy, and as we'll get into, but some of the best playing I've heard from him certainly recently is in this opening solo here.
Yeah. This song is one of the highlights of the album. I think, isn't it followed by Mission to Mars?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the other one I would put up as great songs on this album.
No idea why it did that.
Why not?
I give up.
Let's just hear the whole thing.
I'm going to pull Chris from last week. You guys do this without me?
All right, I'll be jamming on those keys. I don't know what I'm doing, but
yeah. Here, I'm just going to go like 10 seconds in.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I was listening to the radio.
Now this, whatever, it's slightly down-tuned from the original, if you compare the two. But wherever they tuned it down to, this is right in the sweet spot for his vocal register. His vocal on the song is excellent, in my opinion.
Which was a concern of mine, hearing that he was going to do this, because I thought, like, I love Ace, I love his voice, but he's doing an Eddie Money song. I wonder how that's going to come across.
And I think whoever made the decision to tune it down to this level nailed it. It's right in his wheelhouse, where he can, his vocals all over the place. Obviously, throughout his career, I think that's the main thing that kills the Joker cover, and it's mostly just the way there's no flow to his delivery. It's all choppy and weird.
Yeah.
That's what kills it for me. But on this, whoever made the decision to put it in this particular key did him a great favor, and had it in a sweet spot where he can deliver his best vocal.
I heard a song, reminded me of long ago. Back then I thought that things were never gonna change. It used to be that I never had to feel the pain.
So he pronounces again to make it more rhymey with the line previously.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
Yeah, that's not bad. I'm not sure. I don't recall if Eddie Money did that, but I don't think so. But it's a nice little touch.
All of us we're familiar enough with, for instance, Ozzy doing that and saying Bean instead of Ben.
Right.
So we're all good with that. We've heard it.
Quasi British thing, which nobody involved here is British. It's two New York guys. So it's, I don't know. It's that when I first heard that, it just kind of made me grin a little bit. It was a nice touch by him.
There's a quick story, if I may, that opening lyric always makes me think of when I hear it. Mm-hmm. So it's sorry. It's talking about hearing a song on the radio, and it takes him back to when he was younger, and he starts getting certain feelings and realizing how much time has passed and where he was and where he is now and all that. And I worked at the book/music store years and years ago. Mm-hmm. And from 8 to 9 o'clock, we would be there kind of getting stuff prepared, cleaning, whatever. Well, there was a cleaning crew, but we'd, be
in the morning?
Yeah, we'd be working already. And the cleaning crew would be there. And they would just be there for that little while, and then when the store opened, they'd be gone. Mm-hmm. And I was working the music desk, so I got to pick whatever, and you get to play it louder because there's no customers. So I got to pick whatever promo CDs were there at the time. And Tower of Power's Greatest Hits had just come out, so we had a promo, which I still have the promo copy. Mm-hmm. Tell your friend Paul sorry, Andy.
Chris knows Paul.
Oh yeah, tell Paul sorry next time you see him. Paul Y. Yeah. And because I think he wanted it, and I ended up with it. So the song "You're Still a Young Man" came on, which is a very that whole album is great. Their collection, the greatest hits. And "You're Still a Young Man" came on, and this guy came up to me, a black guy in his 50s probably, came up to the desk. He was one of the cleaning guys, mm-hmm. and he had tears in his eyes.
Good Lord.
And he came up to me and he's like, man.
He's like, that's me in the band.
He's like, no, but he was just like, he's like, basically like what Ace is, or Eddie Money, Ace, whoever is talking about in this lyric. Like this guy had like that experience because that song came on, mm-hmm. and he remembered, I don't know, it must have been 25 years prior to that, and he actually had tears in his eyes, and he's like, man, did you put that on? I said, yeah, I just put on the CD. I don't know. He's like, yeah, that song took me back. And like, yeah, like he was having this experience like profoundly. So that was pretty
cool.
Interesting. Yeah.
And a lot of the comments you're seeing on social media and internet about Eddie Money are that his songs transport people back to a time in their life. They do it for me. So I mean, if you can do that, you have won the entertainment game. No matter what some fucking Rolling Stone cockhead says about you in their obituary, where calling you clumsy and overwrought.
Yeah, that's what I want in my obituary. Clumsy.
Guarantee you, when their boy Elvis Costello passes away, you won't see any of those shots.
They're not going to talk about how terrible Every Day I Write the Book is or anything.
If anything, they're going to be saying that he was an antidote for the Eddie Moneys and the Foreigners of the world. It's like, kiss my ass. Nobody's going to be writing anything about you when you pass away, you bag of shit. Stupid fuck.
Actually, whoever wrote that article probably has his obituary ready to be published in Rolling Stone. He probably wrote it
because they're all that self-important jag-offs.
There's another part that I want to get to, but we can listen to the song some more. And this article that I want to pose a question about.
Right, but at this next segment, we'll cut it off at. Afterward, but just on the original, there's the musical lead into the chorus is done on a synthesizer, which Eddie Money's 80s hits actually made great use of keyboards, mm-hmm. in my opinion. But the way he delivers it on guitar is fucking great. So let's hear it.
I know that things will never be the same.
I love that. That is to me is the definition of what Gene talks about on Extreme Close-Up, the kind of riff that just cracks your ribs, you know. A simple 2-note thing that just sounds great and is the perfect lead into the chorus, and in a band that's has no keyboards, so the guitar player has to do it. Perfectly executed. I love that. I mean, that's probably the number one element when I heard this song that just grabbed me instantly, and I fell in love with this version immediately.
And do it all over, but I can't go back. I know I wanna go back, 'cause I'm
Great chorus, but I just want to. I made Andy smile because I made a reference to something with my hands over here.
You did.
Great use, and I brought this up before. I love when this is able to happen, when you're able to have this sort of effect when you go into a chorus and you use the tambourine effectively, and it kicks it up just that little bit.
Yep.
And it gives it. Nothing, the tempo didn't go up, but it gives it a little bit of like, it's almost an illusion of a tempo, not a double time. I don't know how to really say it, but it kicks it up just that much. And I love when
I think even Andy would agree with
I like it. Yeah, I have no problem with that.
As has been established, Andy's problem with the tambourine
It's
is
the
when
visual.
the guy grabs one because he's got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, right, the day Eddie Money passed, I was watching on YouTube a short, like 4-song live performance from '89, I think it was, and he came out,
He was
one
known
gun
to have-
blazing up in the air.
known to have a tambourine on
I
stage.
was like, you know what? It doesn't bother me.
Hey, certain people can get away with certain things.
Yeah.
I think even
Well,
Andy
and
would
his
agree with
his persona, it's different if you're Bono and you're doing it.
that. Well,
But if you're Eddie Money and you're coming out and you have the top button unbuttoned, tie undone persona, you can do that.
you mentioned Bono. Is there a more perfect individual to mention for the polar opposite of what Eddie Money is?
Yeah, I mean,
Bono, Eddie Money. I mean, and of course, Rolling Stone worships the likes of Bono and people like him, but you know, Eddie Money could be playing at fucking Bullpen luxury sports bar down the street, and he'd blend right in, you know. But he's cut 8 to 10 of the greatest classic rock singles of all time. Amazing.
And also, if he came out, going back to what Nick said, if he came out with the tambourine, I think all is forgiven. If you just pick it up during the guitar solo and then put it back down when the guitar solo's done, that's my problem.
He came out gangbusters with that one.
It's all in the timing. It's all in the execution. Other thing about this chorus, I love the backing vocals here. They're not necessarily harmonizing. It's basically two guys singing the same line, but just have different tones to their voices. It sounds great.
feeling so much older, but I can't go back. I know. I recall hanging out on Friday night, the first slow dance, hoping that I did it right.
Love that lyric.
Oh,
Love that lyric.
Who among us listening around the world can't relate to that?
Yeah,
I mean, if you ever went to high school or even middle school or wherever there's like, you know, they have these dances for the socialization. It's an important part of growing up, you know, learning how to interact romantically. Make no mistake about it. That's what it's all about, you know. And you're just like, you know, you finally get some chick to slow dance with you, and you're just like, oh my God, I hope I don't pop a boner right now, or you know,
Is that what the get it right is referring to?
but there could be a million things like you know, I hope either intentionally or accidentally, if I grab her tit, I hope she doesn't like smack me across the face. You know, it's like it's part of the nervousness. Like I don't want to screw this up. I finally made it happen.
It's funny that you go to crack a boner and grab a tit. I was thinking like step on a foot.
Well, you know, but again,
have horrible breath.
Yeah.
It's go down the list. But you know, I think it says a lot about whoever's rattling off the list.
Well, and that is a trait of a great lyric where people can sit down and have entirely different specific examples of what it means to them.
That hoping that I get it right in a high school slow dance in the gym, there could be 60 things on that list, you know. And Eddie Money did not write the song, but who would be more perfect to deliver that lyric? I mean, that's the thing. It's, you know, songs get given to people, you know, that they didn't necessarily write, but they become identifiable with the performer. This is another great example of the perfect match of song and artist.
And that's a lot of the greats, especially, you know, pre-Beatles, I guess, when it wasn't really a thing that you had to write your own songs. A lot of the greats had the songs tailored for them, but then they did their own thing with it, and I believe the term is song stylist is what you would call those vocalists. And you know, my favorite vocalist of all time, Mr. Nat King Cole, he fantastic musician, could write the songs, but recorded so many and had so many great songs coming to him that they came in and he did his song styling, if you will. And sadly, he not lifelong, but long-time smoker. He had cancer because of it. And I don't know if Eddie Money felt the same way. I hadn't read this or anything, but I remember reading that he felt it was essential to maintaining the qualities of his voice. That smoking was very important to that. So it kind of a couple of little parallels there, I guess.
Yeah, I might have paid a high price for that, but you know, these are decisions people make. But yeah, I mean, what a great lyric, and that's you know what, that's the type of lyric that, you know, your everyday guy or girl is gonna relate to, not some fucking cough drop beard wearing hipster worrying about where his next IPA is going to come from. They don't even give a shit about stuff like that.
I've never heard of a cough drop beard.
Me neither,
but
I love it.
You ever seen that cough drop fucking package? The Smith Brothers.
I get it instantly. I just never heard it.
Fucking, you know, all they care about is, you know, the notes of peach in their next obscure IPA they're going to be drinking versus thinking back to stuff like this, you know?
I think some beards could actually be shaped like a cough drop.
That's pretty interesting,
They should
too.
all be shaved off.
Not a beard guy, huh?
No, I mean...
Have you ever had a full beard?
Sure I did, and then I shaved it off when every jackass started having one.
Yeah.
So is that 10, 20 years from now, is that going to be, if somebody makes a movie... like I went back in time to 2019. Is it going to be the guys with the beards?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the flock of seagulls hairdo.
Yeah,
that's
what it is right now.
I've seen some meme
Make
thing.
no mistake about it. That's what it is.
Because it's hard,
Yes.
in the moment, for me at least, it's hard to identify that. Because you think about in the past 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s, fashion-wise, there's easily identifiable stuff. But since then... as I'm living in the moment, I have no idea. Like years from now, what are they going to say was like the silly trend?
Well, there you have it.
Beard and the undercut hairdo, slick back, that combination.
Yeah.
Oh, these guys with their hair.
Yeah.
Who do these guys think they are?
Enough with that already.
Yeah. You know,
Do away with it.
What are you trying to do?
get rid of that.
It's funny.
Back then I thought I'd never
And there's even like in
Oh
Aces.
man, you cut it right in the middle of my favorite.
Oh, I
fucking
apologize.
part.
I apologize.
That's fine.
I just wanted to
You
comment on
interrupted my headgasm. But,
Well,
you know,
Andy can back
that'll
it up
help
a
me
second.
have another one later on in the song.
The vocal performance, like Ace's, I don't know if this was conscious or not, but he's got a sadness almost,
Well,
like
and
like
you
he's
know
being
what?
overcome with emotion.
And
in
you know
certain
what?
spots.
My interpretation is, yes, we're talking about like romantic relationships. He might be channeling some regret over how he conducted himself in the confines of Kiss,
Yeah,
and
sure.
what it cost him over the years.
That could be it.
Entirely
I
possible.
mean, when you take the verses out and just concentrate on the chorus, it's all about wishing you could undo the mistakes of your past, no matter what they are. And I think on some level that resonated with him and he channels it. His vocal is great on this song. It's literally great. One of his all-time best to my ears. And it's because, as we've talked about many times, you can tell when someone is engaged and believes in what they're singing.
And I wanted to bring up, that's interesting, your interpretation of the chorus. I actually always kind of thought it the other way. I can see it both ways, though, that I want to go back and kind of fix or not act a certain way that I acted in certain situations. I always kind of thought it was do it over. Like, I want to, like, I'm
that
here
was
right now.
awesome.
It was awesome. I want to go back and do it again, like exactly the same way.
Yeah, but I don't think it would. If that was the sentiment, you wouldn't get that sense of melancholy that is in both of the versions. That's the
guess,
main.
yeah.
That's
Maybe
the
this-
main thing that makes me interpret it the way I've always interpreted.
Because on one hand, it could be I prefer my life now to how it was back then. On the other hand, it's flipped the opposite.
And maybe the sadness is about your current situation.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's kind of what I always thought it was.
Those are
'cause
valid
He's talking about
interpretations.
standing alone. And,
This sucks. It's basically what, in 2 words.
like, I looked so good in high school
Yeah.
compared to now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Hair,
That's about it. That's the only difference. But yeah.
skinny hair,
Yeah, right. Exactly.
making all the right moves.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but there's definitely, it's heavy on the inference, at least, of romantic mistakes, I guess. You know, it's a great, especially for like the way we do this podcast, it's a great song for that because it's not all explicitly there. And there is a story, but it's like, wow, like there could be a million.
Guess
different
what, Rolling
specifics.
Stone? Bob Dylan songs aren't the only ones that have multiple layers to them, and it can be interpreted in multiple different ways. Fucking dickheads over there. and the other thing is, they always, I'm sure it's in the article, I can't remember where, but they always rip on like the 70s American rock. Like, you've got Eddie Money, but more specifically the REO Speedwagons, the Styxes, the Foreigners,
Boston.
They refer to that as they always crack on it as corporate rock, meaning
Why is that the only one that falls into that category?
if Elvis Costello, Clash, go down the list. If you ever recorded for a major label, guess what? You were corporate rock. I mean,
Yeah.
they're talking about, and another thing they say all the time is like they cynically created smash hit singles. What's cynical about that? That's classic projecting your own cynicism onto somebody else's success.
About those bands that you just named?
Yeah.
I don't get that at all.
Oh, it's ridiculous. They diminish the contributions of all the bands I listed, which, hey, that's fine if you don't like it, but there are plenty of people out there who would rather listen to Eddie Money than The Clash 100 times out of 100.
Myself included.
And if you want to debate quality, the quality is there on both sides. It's just a matter of whether you prefer. But talking about it as like cultural impact or cynical corporate rock is so fucking stupid. It's like you're not supposed to write like pop hits. It's so stupid. It's the dumbest thing ever.
And just like that, I have to make another Nat King Cole comparison.
We might need music for this.
I was just
That's going to come up.
Well, it's funny because I was just not that long ago.
Unforgettable.
I was watching an interview because there aren't very many straight interviews with him that I've actually been able to find. I found one where he was getting off an airplane in like Switzerland, and some guy was talking to him, and they were talking about you've got your critically acclaimed jazz roots that he had, right? Mm-hmm. Which I guess would be the equivalent to like Chris's Clash, Rolling Stone kind of comparison. That's the critically acclaimed. That's the cool, stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you don't really do it as much anymore. He's like, no, I make music for people respond with buying the records, and if they like a certain thing I do, I give them more of that. Mm-hmm. Like, and he made a comparison. He's like, yeah, it's music, it's art, whatever, but people make airplanes, and then they make a better airplane, and it sells better because it's better. Like, we make better songs, so they sell better.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like, what's cynical about that? When you put it a certain way, it doesn't sound cynical. I'm the public. If you put a song out that I like, what's the problem?
I think the idea, whether it's true or not, is that they're thinking the artist doesn't like it. They're only doing it to make money. I'm not saying it's true, but I think that's what the sentiment is behind that. It's like you're betraying your own art.
That's probably what they're saying.
Yeah, but I give the listening public more credit than that. Going back to what we talked about a minute ago, people can tell when you're just blatantly disingenuous, but when stuff hits you where you live, people respond to that. And guys like Eddie Money and a lot of the bands we listed I don't think they were disingenuous in what they were putting out. It just happened to be stuff that was able to be mass marketed and popular.
Yeah.
Now, for the main solo there, he went back into the minor key, so it's more of a rock attitude, delivered with authority.
But it went from a sadness in the chorus to just kind of like the beginning with the guitar coming in. It's like a sadness and then a more just awesome rock and roll.
Right.
There's really not much sadness in the guitar
right.
solo.
I think the first solo is again more upbeat and happy. This has got like more swagger and attitude. That's a great transition there. I mean, I think he did an amazing job on this, and whoever contributed to it, whoever suggested that he do it, and whoever arranged it and did all the work behind the scenes should get a ton of credit for creating something that's right in Ace's wheelhouse, and it has a lot of dimensions to it.
I mean, Ace is looked on, especially on your Rolling Stone kind of crowd. He's looked on as like a boob. I mean, he really is. Like, he's just some idiot rock and roll guy who, stumbled his way through a great career somehow. But again, go listen to his solo albums. You may not love every song, but I mean, he's not just some idiot, obviously.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, there's thought put into this stuff.
I mean, the way we're picking it apart here just makes that clear. I mean, there's a lot of great moves here that just don't happen by accident.
Continuing with the solo, right? Or is it about done?
It's about done, but I think the star of the show for the next 30 seconds or so is back to Ace's vocal.
Couple of things. Can't get enough of the little finger symbols going on.
Yeah, I mean,
it works. It's funny to think that an Ace Frehley song is utilizing that, but it works. And that lyric that vocal right there, where he holds the go.
Yeah, that was good.
It always sounded to me like he said home at the end of it, like almost like go home. I don't know if you want to back it up a few seconds. I don't think he does. I think he's just saying go ho, like kind of like when you extend an O sound vocally, and you.
I don't even think I picked up.
It always makes me think that he almost said go home.
First, and another thing about it is there any vocalist period who delivers the word girl better than Ace Frehley? I mean,
that's true.
I'm a big fan of it in general, but every time he delivers it, it's coming from a place of a genuine, whatever emotion he's feeling at that moment. It's genuine. Feeling so much older, but I can't go back.
Okay, so it wasn't go home, but it was. I
go,
know.
Whoa.
Yeah,
whatever.
But it almost sounds like home, which like definitely fits with the whole emotional sentiment going on.
Yeah.
I don't think that he did it on purpose, but that's something that always struck me.
And he's taking it up a register, but it's still within his range, so he's not. I mean, I'll just say it again. The whole arrangement and the whole. Whatever key they put it in is right in his sweet spot. I mean, they did him a great favor by performing it this way. Well done. Do it all over, but I can't go back. I know I wanna go back, 'cause I'm feeling so much older, but I can't go back. Another part where it was kind of the dynamic took it down. It was a little mellower after just before they kick back into the solo. That one part where they go back.
Yeah. That's like
slightly playful.
It's slightly playful, and it's almost like someone if you were pretending to be a ghost, you would say something that way. Like I don't know.
Another nice touch that might slip by you on the first few listens, but you pick up on it, and then to repeat again. There's a lot of dimensions, a lot of great stuff going on in this tune.
And I don't think we mentioned it explicitly yet, but just the chord progression and melody that goes on in the chorus, you can't really get a better hook like as far as chords and melody for a chorus. Kudos to the songwriters. It's brilliantly done. Everything. I mean, this particular version is, you might have a different opinion, but as far as a pop single, the song itself is a masterpiece. I know I wanna go back and do it all over, but I can't go back. I know I wanna go back, 'cause I'm feeling so much older, but I can't go back. and the whole double time drum thing that went in, and then when it after the vocals were done and he went into the guitar solo, you get a feeling like it portrays or conveys a feeling, rather, at least to me, that like, okay, I'm kind of regretting stuff, but you know what, I'm gonna just keep going on. Things are gonna be good. Like that's the way that the guitar solo kind of comes in. Like, it's not a defeated sounding.
That's true.
It's not sad or defeated sounding. It's got like a determined kind of a feel to it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. You got me thinking over here.
Well, there
never
really
good.
is. There's a heavy emotional aspect to the song,
Absolutely.
not just in the lyrics or the vocal delivery, but also in kind of what's going on musically and the way that the guitar solos are coming in at certain points.
Yeah, they did a great job on this. A great song selection for Ace, and then the execution has nailed it.
Yeah, I was very, at first, relieved and just very glad when I heard this version. I thought, okay, because I really like the Eddie Money version, and I didn't, because the Joker happened. Again, I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah.
It did happen. None of us in this room are fans of it, and I thought, I hope he pulls it off, and he did. So,
And I'm a huge fan of Sweet, and the Fox on the Run cover just didn't grab me. I was excited to hear it because I'm a big fan of Sweet and the album that song is originally on, and it just fell short for me. The ELO cover speaks for itself, and that's not going to resonate with me at all. But this, I was like, okay, one of my favorite artists' favorite songs. I did approach it with some trepidation, but it grabbed me instantly. Brilliant work on this one.
and I wanted to bring this up, that you brought up Fox on the Run. For years and years before that, I remember Andy saying, whenever he'd hear the original Fox on the Run, he'd say, that sounds like Ace Frehley, kind of the way that they sing it.
Yeah.
And then when it finally happened, it was pretty
like,
cool.
of course.
And there's another example for me of something like that. I remember years ago, there was a Billy Idol. It wasn't Vital Idol, but it was like after that, much more recent than that. There was a greatest hits
It
release.
has to be one of the best titled
It
greatest
is.
hits albums of all
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So some other greatest hits album came out.
Versus something lazy like Rebel Yell, the best of
Yeah.
Billy Idol.
Yeah.
Or like all the Aerosmith horrible titles for their greatest hits albums. But the closing song, I believe, on this greatest hits album by Billy Idol was "Don't You Forget About Me."
Yeah.
And that's one of those songs where you could say, wow, that sounds like Billy Idol. Like for years before that, that's
Well, he was originally supposed to be the artist, and he turned
I
it
didn't
down.
know that.
Oh, okay.
And when I first heard it, I didn't make the connection. But then when I learned years later that he was one of the people it was offered to, it's like you can tell it was written specifically for him. And then Simple Minds stepped in and did a great job with it. But yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know that it was originally written for him. It's a song where when I saw he was doing it, I'm like, that makes perfect sense.
He was in the mix to be one of the people to record it, but you can tell that whoever wrote that had him in mind
Sure.
with writing it. And it's just, it's almost as if this cover would be almost, you could almost say that, this song was originally written for Ace in the 80s, but he turned it down. They gave it to Eddie Money. I mean, just which obviously didn't happen, but if you listen to this version, it's a great song choice for him.
Well, guys, it's time to vote. Sweet Surrender or Kick in the Crotch. Nick, you go first.
The Sweetest Surrender.
It's sweet surrender. Hell yes.
Now, an example that falls short would be they wrote "Heaven Tonight" for me, and Yngwie Malmsteen and Joe Lynn Turner did it.
Yeah.
That would not
Well,
that would not make as much sense.
Nick
to say.
turned it down at the time. He had other things going on, and just his representatives didn't feel it was the right time for that, and gave Joe Lynn Turner, a struggling vocalist, an opportunity. How many wigs is that song funded for Joe Lynn Turner? I mean, one can
That's
only
that's what his
imagine.
payment was. in his
Botox
contract.
injections.
It's not in dollars and cents. It's in wigs and Botox.
Talk about a guy with another incredible voice that had that grit to it. It still does, I think. I haven't listened to much of his recent stuff. But
who knows?
I mean, say what you want about him or some of his songs that he's come out with, but the voice itself, a fantastic voice.
Oh,
that
no.
guy.
We bag on him. I mean, I do a little just because of the wigs and the plastic surgery and all that other stuff. And some of the barbs that he and Yngwie go back and forth with. But, I mean, obviously, his stuff on those Rainbow albums is incredible. Amazing vocal.
And a similar face to Eddie Money, I would say. Joe Lynn Turner, a similar looking guy.
Yeah.
But
not as every man as Eddie Money. He's a little more pretty. But, yeah, he's in that wheelhouse, I think.
So, love the song. Have loved the Eddie Money version. Very pleased with the Ace version. You know, glad that it came out as good as it did. It definitely fits Ace. It fits his as far as the fans know. You know, his backstory about it, some of his behavior in the past, and thinking that this could be coming from the heart, that he's singing some of these lyrics.
Yeah.
This is it's one of the better songs on the album too, and my kids, my two oldest, when this album came out, I was like listening to some of the songs, and this is the one that they said, "Can you put that one on again?"
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
there you go.
Like it got through to them, very young kids.
A great song that just resonates with human beings. This would be the example of the cynical corporate rock that your young sons are responding to. You should cure them of that immediately, and play some I don't know, put on an Elvis Costello album for them. They need
do that too,
because heaven forbid they transition to something like Foreigner. You can't have that. No.
And I still do want to talk about that one quote from that article, if I may.
Well, yeah, and I'll go into the vote. Sweet Surrender, of course, for the song.
It's Sweet Surrender. Hell yes.
Huge kick in the crotch to the crew over at Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
And fuck them.
That's
what I mean.
It's a humiliating kick in the crotch.
I mean, they couldn't resist getting the shots in on essentially an obituary piece. How do you feel good about that?
No.
That's just I don't even know what to say.
Right here, I just on that subject. We pay tribute to the trend-oblivious hit-making prowess of the late, great Eddie Money. They put great in there probably with a wink and a smile. I don't know.
Or with just extreme revulsion. They felt that they needed.
The trend-oblivious hit-making prowess. And I'm assuming they're throwing that out there as though it's not a positive trait.
Of course they're not.
So,
the whole thing is just... one shot after another at the guy.
So I would like to pose the question, to get specific, another artist that I love. Would they say that about Brian Setzer when he passes? Because you want to talk about trend oblivious. Mm-hmm. That guy is that. I mean,
it'll be the exact same phrase, but it'll be presented in a positive way.
It'll be he didn't care.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he went against the trends.
Right.
Right. But it's essentially the same thing.
They'll conveniently leave out his own cynical venturing into corporate rock. The Knife Feels Like Justice album, which is basically his attempt to go mainstream and go against the whole rockabilly thing.
I'd not heard that one.
Yeah, it's just like John Cougar-esque 80s rock.
Okay.
How cynical is that, Rolling Stone? The guys, people got to make a living,
Well, and that just goes to show you that there's probably a real sentiment behind the type of music that these people are releasing. If they're going against trends, unless they feel
going against trends. Pop music never goes out of style. It's never trendy.
True.
It's never not trendy. It's always in play.
Well, then that just
what
goes,
fucking trend?
it's fashion. It's visual.
Going
I
against
think.
the trend of being the Clash or Elvis Costello, he had no interest in being either that stuff.
It's probably based. I'm gonna guess that Rolling Stone's problem here is probably based more in visual fashion, sort of
visual
a trend.
fashion, and also a revulsion of the people who like this kind of music. And I'm going to say this: I do not want to open a political can of worms on this episode because we've got a time constraint, but that kind of attitude is how we got Donald Trump as president. Am I wrong, Andy?
No, you're right. We've discussed that. Yeah.
This elitism, this pissing on the common man is
Looking
going to
down
bite
your
you in
nose,
the
yeah.
ass if you stay with it, and they just can't resist going down that road time and time again.
Yeah.
It's like these people need us to guide us in the right direction. Stop listening to those Foreigner albums and listen to more U2 instead. No, I don't want to.
Yeah. I don't have to.
Stop
Stop telling me what to do.
I want Hot Blooded instead of With or Without You 100 times out of 100. And I'm not interested in being educated on why my tastes are shit.
That's a great U2 song to pick to illustrate the unappealing qualities there.
Josh Todd of Buck Cherry loves Hot Blooded. That's all I need to know as to whether that's a quality song or not. He was on one of those VH1 retrospective shows, and he's like, that's the kind of song that just gets the girls dancing. Yeah, it does.
Well, what else is the point really of that style of music?
Yeah. I mean, Chris has talked about it before. What's the point of music and dancing? It's all ritual.
Mating ritual.
Mating ritual.
It is. It absolutely is.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Mission
London
accomplished.
Calling, not a mating ritual. Not interested.
Why does the Clash keep getting dragged into
Because
this?
they mentioned it
Okay.
because Eddie Money's album came out in '77, the same year that the debut albums
Of Elvis Costello.
Elvis and the Clash.
I gotcha.
Two
Okay.
of their darlings. But look, I'm not dismissing either of those acts. They're not shit like ELO or Supertramp. I mean, obviously there's some legitimacy there, but they just can't resist trotting that out to slam somebody like Eddie Money.
I like all three of them, and all three of them have pop hits. What's the
And
problem?
they all three recorded for Eddie Money and the Clash. Eddie Money and Elvis Costello were on Columbia, I believe. Clash was on Epic. All corporate rock.
Yeah, what's the
no
problem?
getting around it.
And back
Like
to
Nirvana recording for Geffen. What the fuck did you think was going to happen there? I mean, granted, you didn't think you were going to be the biggest band on the planet necessarily, but you signed with a major label. Did you just think you were going to be able to put out another Bleach and be done with it? Get out of here.
Yeah.
And Elvis Costello, particularly, I have his debut, his first two albums, and they're both great, and they're both so poppy. And I don't really know what the difference is.
There is no difference. The difference is who the people who listen to Elvis Costello versus the people who listen to Eddie Money. It's another way of shitting on the common.
Yeah, but they're both
It's true.
They're both ultimately 70s arena rock. There might be a different fashion to
There's
it.
a different fashion,
but
I guess. But it's not that different of music. Like if you mixed them all up with the pop hits,
is it because
no one would be like, "What the hell is this? Why are you playing this?"
Yeah, if you play Allison and then you play I don't know, Shaken,
Baby Hold On,
or Baby Hold On, better,
interchangeable.
They could go back to back on a radio station,
of course,
and have, I'm sure, many times.
It's horseshit.
Is it because the Elvis Costello seems to have a tongue-in-cheekness about it, and that's what's cool, and Eddie Money seems more genuine?
They probably have, even years before the term became commonplace, they probably displayed less toxic masculinity, you know?
Oh, that could be it.
Who knows? It's so stupid.
There's plenty of vulnerability. Look at this song. This is one of Eddie Money's big hits.
Of course there is.
A ton of vulnerability, so I don't know.
It's pissing on Middle America by the coastal elites. It's just a form of it. It's true, Andy. You don't laugh at it.
It's funny. Just it's a phrase I like.
And
That's
guess
why.
what? That bit all of you and every citizen of this country right on the right buttock in 2016, and we're living the aftermath of it. Stupid.
Yeah.
Did you vote yet?
No, I didn't, but I'm going to give it a sweet surrender as well.
It's sweet surrender. Hell yes.
I have no problem with anything on this song. All excellent. What else can I say?
The song and the version?
Yeah. All good.
If only there was a sound clip for that.
There is.
Maybe another time.
Maybe another time.
It's always my favorite.
Yeah, make you wait. I have to surprise you. But, yeah, I don't know. There's, like you guys both said, you never know what's going to happen with a cover, if it's going to be as good as the original or, somehow ruin that version. I don't know. You can't really ruin the original version, but I mean not do justice.
The only way you can ruin the original, I think, is if you do it so well that people view the original as,
which has happened in the past.
If I may interject real quick, not that it ruins it, but I know Rosalie by Thin Lizzy very well.
Sure. I
never really heard the Bob Seger version. I went and listened to it. I'm like, it's significantly weaker.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's maybe the only way you can kind of
right, and that's
you do it so much better.
It's a great example of a band making a song their own. I mean, I think probably the greatest example of that is All Along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix. The original is great, but Hendrix took it light years forward, and it became his song essentially. I'm not saying this is on that level, but this is a great song choice for Ace to make it his song. If
it's a great companion piece to the original.
Yeah, I agree. And a nice tribute to a great artist.
All right, well, guys, who would have thought? I guess everyone probably. 3 sweet surrenders.
Yeah, based on what we've been saying, this round was pretty much set, I would say. But who knows? The next round.
All right, Hammond, I got a question for you.
And now it kind of makes sense to have Peter Criss playing drums in the background.
It all makes sense. All right, so what do you guys think?
Now, me personally, we can all take things into consideration the way we want with the voting, but I'm going to consider the complete package: original song, original artist, cover artist. So
okay,
and my vote is in and should be obvious to everyone.
Andy, how about you?
Guys do what you please.
My vote is in.
Mine is in also.
All right, I'll go first. Andy, Nick, Chris.
Is that the Eagle Forward? I never remember.
I think maybe it is the regular missionary Eagle.
Well,
I don't know.
Again, I don't know. Again, sticking with a classic is not a bad idea.
No,
mix it up once in a while. It's fine, but yeah, it's if that's what the people have said that they love, then why not give it to them?
And that's what they get.
Have it go forward.
Forward facing.
You can have your cynical people going backwards every once in a while. You throw that out there for them, but
all right. Well, rock,
roll,
boner.
And he got it! It's a rockin' the bone, yeah. Who do you think you are? I am. Get it right.
now I don't know this at all. I'm gonna put $5 down on this table here.
Yeah,
and say Pete Weber loves Eddie Money.
there's a definite connection there between those two guys.
We should send PDW over to the Rolling Stone offices to dress down this writer verbatim.
If anybody could.
Complete with the body movements, the thrusting of the fists, Just the overall defiance and anger is what that guy needs a dose of it right in his face.
If we need a proper representative, I think we've found the guy.
Yes, and I think he'd gladly do it. PDW would listen to Eddie Money over the Clash.
Well, I mean,
1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000, no question about it.
You figure a guy who's a pro bowler spends a lot of time in bowling alleys.
Yeah,
Eddie Money,
it's a salt of the earth guy, just like Eddie Money.
Eddie Money would have been played constantly on a jukebox in a
Oh,
bowling alley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It probably still is, if there are jukeboxes.
I'm sure there are
The digital
bowling alleys.
jukeboxes in bowling alleys, but
PDW has said some unfortunate things inspired by Shaken in the past. I'm quite convinced of it.
so
right.
I mean, and I'll go on record also saying that I would say the same thing about the original. Mm-hmm. And it's sad to see Eddie Money go. May perpetual light shine upon him. Mm-hmm. And truly agree. I never saw him live, but if I would have had the chance and had, if somebody had a ticket or something like that, or there was something going on really, nearby, because I don't make it to a lot of shows. Even in this day and age, I would have gone to see him.
Yeah, I saw him twice. I saw him once in '89 at the MSU Auditorium where I went to school. It was a great show. And then I saw him probably, I think, 2015 at the Four Winds Casino in Buffalo. At that point, the show had become half music, half Rodney Dangerfield-esque stand-up.
Oh, man.
Really?
And
how great would that be?
You know what? I was a tad disappointed just because I like the music so much, and I wasn't expecting that. But, I mean, yeah.
He was just... You're not joking. He was.
I'm not joking.
He was telling jokes.
Yes,
not just like an occasional line.
He would rattle off a trio of jokes between each song.
Wow.
And that's and he, like, I had seen, not a big fan of it, but I had seen some of his reality show that he was doing up until the time he died. And I will say, as much as I didn't really care for the whole package of it, I think he was great, and he had that personality like always like with the one-liners, and it fits with Ace Frehley. Sure. He was the jokester of Kiss, and that's another parallel that they have, or perpendicular.
And I'll also say
there.
that and I'm going to tread carefully because I don't want to be like this hack Rolling Stone guy and kick a man when he's dead and gone. But this was 2015 was pre-reality show, so he didn't have his daughter and his other son in the band on guitar, but he did have his son in the band on drums. Terrible drummer. Killed the music for me. I mean, and if they show a more recent performance of them with the whole family going on, like from Pine Knob in Detroit or whatever they're calling it nowadays, and the kid is back there on the drums, hasn't improved a single iota. It's just not a good drummer. And as we know, a terrible drummer will sink your band immediately. So
been there.
So I mean, I just got to mention that. But the show, it was entertaining, and it was there for Eddie Money and the songs, and those were all delivered.
All right, well, guys, I don't think anyone disagrees with us, but if you do, at least anybody listening, I don't think anybody listening disagrees with us. If you do, we're sorry.
That's just the fucking way it is.
I think if you asked Paul Anka his opinion of Eddie Money, it would be glowing, overwhelmingly positive.
I'm sure of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, Paul Anka comes out on stage with the top button undone sometimes and the tie undone.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Something's happening.
Time constraint. We can wrap up here.
No, we can do the questions.
Oh, we can.
Yeah, let's see, what time is it?
What is that Atari music going on?
This is when you're running out of time in Mario Brothers. The music goes double time.
Yeah, we could do a quick 3.
All right.
Okay.
Try to just initial answer comes to your mind, rattle it off.
All right.
No thought involved, which generally there isn't much in this entire show, so shouldn't be much of a difference.
Sing away.
Yes, Chief.
All right, today's Yardo question is the most recent one we have, and I haven't screened these questions.
Oh, Jesus. Just like today's song.
That's right, the most recent. We're going with current themes here. All right. Oh, I believe we've had this fella submit questions before. This yard comes to us from Adam Montague.
The Magnificent Montague. Old radio show.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Good name. All right.
What type of character was Montague?
Have you ever seen The Man Who Came to Dinner? That old movie where he's like a Broadway.
I've seen Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Well, not
Is this
exactly the
same
same.
thing?
No, it's a character. It's the same guy who was in that movie, and he plays a pretty much similar character where he's like a big city intellectual, like Broadway critic kind of a guy.
Oh,
Insults
interesting.
everybody, sharp
Wow.
wit,
Playing
kind of
into the theme today.
yeah.
All right.
I also believe that, and my knowledge of this is sketchy, but I think Montague is an initial variation of the Belvedere, and you have to look into.
Yeah, we'll have
that.
to see
But
exactly
this-
what it
is. I wonder-
the sitting on some part of the genitalia.
Yeah, I wonder what the Montagues. I don't know.
That might be actually sitting on the penis.
Let's say maybe it's stepping on the scrotum somehow.
Yeah, so we'll have to look into
In one of
that.
these sitting Indian style, getting up the
that's-
wrong way.
Maybe that's just when you sit down and your cheeks are so misaligned that it hurts and you have to get up.
Don't
and-
you hate that? You know, and the misalignment generally takes place when you sit down initially.
Yeah.
and it doesn't correct
And
itself.
it's
at any point.
maybe when you're in a meeting and you can't get up and
yeah, this is
straighten them
the
out.
worst.
Maybe that's a Montague.
Like, God damn it! I just Montagued myself.
This guy's long-winded talking up here.
All right. Question 1. Which one of the following would you guys choose to be a guest on the show? There's 4 options here. You have to pick one because you're going to like all 4. Pitbull, Marco Mendoza, Tom Jones, Paul Anka.
Oh, I'm gonna say initially it's between the last two for sure. I'm gonna go Anka. As much as I wanted to say Tom Jones,
Okay.
I'm gonna say Anka, but it's very close.
Yeah, and I'm thinking now about the Montaguing. I think that might actually refer to the misalignment of the butt cheeks. That might be it.
That could
Whereas
be it.
the butt hair actually acts like Velcro and connects the two
Yes.
cheeks, but in the wrong configuration.
Yes.
I think that's pretty much what it is.
That's like an ancient torture. If you have to sit there or lay there, like
Yeah,
we
it's
had
a problem.
for Andy and I, our old band. We did a Valentine's Day show at Chris's Cafe, and we got silk pajamas, red silk pajamas. I
Yes.
tried sleeping in them. It
So
was a
overrated.
constant feeling like that.
Silk sheets, silk pajamas, maybe fine for the foreplay, but once it gets down to sleeping, the absolute worst.
I've never had silk sheets.
Don't
Terrible.
try
Yeah,
it.
it was bad.
Got a free set from Playboy. I used them once, never again.
All right, question 2. Nick and Chris, as guitarists, you've been offered 4 one-night-only gigs, but can only choose one. There's a theme with these questions.
That's good though.
Yeah.
I like it.
Which one of the following would you choose? Filling in for Tommy Thayer for one night. Filling in as Pitbull's live guitarist for one night. Filling in for Ronnie Wood for one night. Filling in for Izzy Stradlin / the other guitarist in Guns N' Roses for one night.
For me, that's an easy one. Mm-hmm. I would be the Spaceman for a night. Yeah, are you kidding?
You'd look better in the makeup and costume than I would, so... my choice, again, would be Pitbull, simply because I'd like to infiltrate the most bad one's dressing room and see what goes on.
I wonder if it's taped off on the stage, though. Can you cross a certain boundary, or
They have like police
can
caution
can
tape.
you get up next to the most bad
I
ones
think
as the guitar
if
player?
I've been invited to be in the band, I think there's a sense of camaraderie. And,
It'd be like a Benny Hill episode with Chris.
Exactly right.
As they're walking off stage, you can kind of step a little bit in front of one, and then they'd have to kind of dance around you. Keep, it's all showbiz, right?
I will say about the Stones element, let me just toss this in here real quick, is the fact that so Jack White is about the same age as me. I think maybe a year or two younger. And also from Detroit, blah, blah, blah. He's become a, huge rock star. Dare I say corporate rock, but...
what sporting event doesn't have one of his songs?
So he was in the Shine a Light movie where they had the concert movie that Scorsese did on the Stones maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even longer than that. And he had a bunch of guest musicians up there. Jack White brought on stage to do Loving Cup. Unbelievable. I mean, it just... How a guy, like, if that was me, I would have shit my pants before I even came running out with the tambourine. I would just be perform that song on stage with the Stones, to have that happen to someone who is my age and from my same hometown is just simply unbelievable to me. So I just thought I'd throw that in.
Is he playing guitar and singing?
Yeah.
Or just guitar?
Guitar and singing.
Both? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Duet with Mick. Amazing.
Okay. All right, question 3. You guys are booked in the main event of WrestleMania in a 6-man tag team match versus Dana Strum, Raymundo, and Eric Singer. Who wins? Who gets the pin? And which finishing move?
Now, is this only one winner? Is this a battle royal, right? Not
No.
Not
It's
Survivor Series.
No, it's just a 6-man tag. So there's one pin, 2 teams of 3, 1 pin. It's over.
So it's a Survivor Series kind of a.
No, because that's single elimination. This is
Okay.
just one pin.
So this is us against them.
Yep.
Okay. Single
The one
pinfall.
team wins.
One team wins.
Well, we would win. Obviously.
Okay, yes.
I think so, yeah.
We win. I think Chris gets the pin, even though I haven't been asked.
Well, I have anger towards 2 of those
Yeah.
individuals, where Andy only has 1 and Nick has none.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just based on sheer primal instincts and reactions,
We would call it heat.
Yeah.
In the wrestling world,
And
Chris
I'm-
has heat with 2 of those guys.
And I think for sure we've got Strum is the guy who's in the corner who's going to be distracting the referee.
Yeah.
Right, I think that just
stupid gyrations.
That seems to be his
mouth
move.
open.
Yeah.
that seems to be his move. Is he's that guy. He's kind of like the
He's trying to get a job.
He's the
talking to
heel
referee.
the heel manager, I would say.
Perfect.
And so how do we win? Who pin?
I
Chris gets the pin on who?
I feel like it has to be Raymundo.
Yeah.
What's
it's a
the
personal
and what kind
vendetta.
of move? What kind of move are we talking?
I'd like to do one of those ladder things where I like drop down on him from the rafters.
To a table?
I'm envisioning. Yes.
Okay.
I'm envisioning that. Whatever delivers the most damage.
Through a table that has a couple of plates with
queso fundido.
a stocked table.
Yeah, perfect. Chips and salsa order. Yeah, that's what I would like to come down from the very highest point of the arena, right on top of them.
All right.
And then Andy and I would have to fight off the other 2 from breaking the pinfall
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. That sounds good. That's a good main event match. Chris would then be beating his chest like that clip of New Jack that we like to send to each other, where he throws the guy off of scaffolding.
That's
through
what
some
I was.
tables.
That's what I was envisioning.
Yeah. And then starts beating on his chest.
Exactly. Yelling at the sky.
Yeah.
That would be
And
me.
the pinfall might possibly be where they're both knocked out and one of us has to drag Chris on top of them.
Yeah, Chris has nothing left.
Chris,
in the tank.
he can't even after that fall, can't even muster the strength to cover him. So one of us has to grab Chris by the arm and drag him on top.
That works. That's it. 1, 2, 3. And that's going to do it. Thank you to Adam Montague. Please don't Montague yourself. Try your best not to.
Thank you for the magnificent questions.
I think
Mr.
that
Montague.
needs to be added to Urban Dictionary at the earliest possible opportunity. The misalignment of the butt cheeks.
the hair Velcro thing. Never a truer sentiment has been
Yes.
expressed here.
Yes.
part of thunder. Whoa, with Chris on the can I and Jones.